Imagine the most disgusting smell you can possibly think of, now multiplied by 1,000,000. That's what London smelled like in the summer of 1858. The stench was so powerful, so utterly vile, that it brought the most powerful empire on earth to its knees. The British Parliament, the very heart of global power, was literally considering abandoning the city of London altogether. This is the story of the Great Stink, a crisis that paralyzed a metropolis and led to one of the greatest engineering feats in history. By the mid-19th century, London was the undisputed capital of the world. It was a sprawling, booming metropolis, the epicenter of industry, finance, and culture. Queen Victoria ruled over a vast empire, and London was its glittering jewel. But beneath this veneer of progress and power lay a filthy, stinking secret. The city was, for all intents and purposes, an open sewer. For centuries, Londoners have relied on the River Thames for everything. It was their main highway for transport, their source of drinking water, and most problematically, their primary toilet. Everything ended up in the Thames. Human waste from cesspits, runoff from slaughterhouses, toxic chemicals from new factories, and all the general garbage of a city of 2 million people. The river that had once been the city's lifeblood was now a thick, brown, bubbling sludge of filth. To make matters worse, a new invention had recently become popular among the middle and upper classes: the flush toilet. It was seen as a marvelous leap forward in hygiene, whisking waste away with a simple pull of a chain. But where did all that waste go? Straight into London's already overburdened and ancient sewers, which then dumped it directly into the Thames. Each flush was adding to the crisis, turning the river into a ticking time bomb of disease and decay. People still drank this water, leading to devastating cholera outbreaks that killed tens of thousands. The city was living on borrowed time. And then came the summer of 1858. It was unusually hot and dry. Day after day, a relentless sun beat down on the city, baking the polluted River Thames under its glare. The water level dropped, exposing vast banks of thick, black, reeking mud. As this toxic sludge fermented in the heat, it released a plume of stench so horrifying, so suffocating, that it became known as the Great Stink. It wasn't just a bad smell. It was an entity. It was a physical presence that invaded every corner of the city. Newspapers described it as a combination of hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, and methane, a smell of pure putrefaction. It was said you could taste it in your food. People walking along the river would suddenly retch and faint. Those who could afford to fled the city for the countryside. Those who couldn't try everything to escape the odor. They kept their windows shut tight in the sweltering heat. They soaked their curtains in chloride of lime, a bleaching agent, desperately hoping to neutralize the air coming into their homes. Nowhere was the crisis more acute than at the newly rebuilt Houses of Parliament, right on the banks of the foul river. The politicians, the men running the world's largest empire, were under siege. The smell seeped through the thick stone walls, overwhelming the chambers. They tried the curtain trick, dousing them in chloride of lime, but it was useless. The stench was so powerful that lawmakers were seen fleeing committee rooms with handkerchiefs pressed to their faces, their eyes watering. Sittings had to be abandoned. The government couldn't function. The machine of empire had ground to a halt, not because of war or rebellion, but because of an unbearable smell. It was clear that something had to be done, and it had to be done now. The Great Stink had forced their hand. Out of this chaos, an unlikely hero emerged. His name was Joseph Bazalgette, the chief engineer for London's Metropolitan Board of Works. For years, Bazalgette had been warning about the city's sanitation crisis. But his ambitious plans were dismissed as too expensive, too radical. Now, with Parliament literally holding its nose, the government was desperate. They threw money at the problem and told Bazalgette to fix it. And his plan was nothing short of revolutionary. Instead of letting the city's waste flow directly into the Thames, Bazalgette designed a massive interconnected network of sewers that would completely reshape London's underbelly. He proposed building huge intercepting sewers that would run parallel to the river. These main arteries would catch the sewage from the existing smaller sewers before it could reach the Thames. Gravity would then carry this waste far to the east of London, downstream from the city center. There, it would be collected in large reservoirs and finally discharged into the sea on the outgoing tide. The sheer scale of his vision was mind-boggling. This wasn't just patching up a few pipes. This was the largest civil engineering project the world had ever seen. It required constructing over 1,000 miles of new tunnels and street-level sewers, digging up nearly every road in London. It would use an estimated 318 million bricks and require excavating 3.5 million cubic yards of earth. To power the system in low-lying areas, Bazalgette designed magnificent pumping stations, like Crossness and Abbey Mills, which were so ornate they were called cathedrals of sewage. He insisted on using the highest quality materials like durable Portland cement and famously ordered the diameter of the main tunnels to be doubled from what was calculated, stating, "We're only going to do this once, and there's always the unforeseen." That foresight would prove invaluable. Work began almost immediately and continued for over a decade. It was a monumental undertaking, employing thousands of workers who toiled deep beneath the city's bustling streets. Finally, in 1865, the system was partially open, and the effects were immediate. For the first time in centuries, the River Thames began to clean itself. The great stink vanished. But the project's greatest legacy was yet to be revealed. Just a year later, in 1866, a cholera epidemic broke out in London's East End. However, it was contained only to an area that Bazalgette's new sewer system had not yet reached. The rest of London, now served by his clean water and waste removal network, was almost entirely spared. Bazalgette hadn't just defeated a bad smell. He had defeated a deadly disease. The system was a triumph. It not only saved London from its own filth, but also became a blueprint for cities all over the world. It drastically improved public health and raised the average life expectancy of Londoners. And here is the most amazing part. Joseph Bazalgette's Victorian sewer network is still the backbone of London's sanitation system today. Over 150 years later, those millions of bricks laid by hand are still carrying the city's waste, a hidden subterranean monument to a crisis that forever changed our understanding of health and the modern city. The next time you walk through London, remember that beneath your feet lies a masterpiece of engineering, born from the most disgusting smell in history. If you found this story from the underbelly of the past fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.